Hi there folks, and welcome to another video. What is more important, fluency or accuracy? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Adil. I love learning languages. I speak many different languages, and I love talking about learning languages. Today I want to share my ideas with you regarding this age-old question, fluency and accuracy. And this is not even a question in the sense that, hey, should I develop only and only my accuracy and ignore fluency altogether, or vice versa? No, that is not the question. Nobody's ever going to say that. The question arises when we reach a certain point in our language learning journey where we are able to communicate to a certain extent. And that is where we start seeing some mistakes in our language. And this is where some people stop and they ask themselves, should I actually slow down and correct all of my mistakes? Or should I focus on communication here? Allow me to say this one more time. I've said this many, many times in my videos, but it bears repeating, that when I talk about language learning, I'm talking about language learning in the context of learning a language as a hobby, all right? Not for passing an exam and that kind of stuff, because that changes the equation a little bit. I'm talking about learning a language just to communicate with friends and improving yourself. That question comes in our mind that, should I slow down? Should I correct all of my mistakes? What's going to happen if I continue, to focus on communication and I'm making many mistakes? Like, is that going to lead to fossilization? That's a technical term. Remember it. I don't like throwing around jargon and everything. Language learning is fun. Language learning is not lecture room jargon. But this is one term you should know, fossilization. What is a fossil? A fossil is like once again, I don't want to go into this the technical definition of what it means in science but it's like when you see an old animal or an old living form that is fossilized in one way or another, and it's very old and it's preserved in that way in the original form. So in language learning, when I say that this leads to fossilization, it's when a mistake becomes part of your language. For example, if I want to say that yesterday I went to the beach, and I end up saying yesterday I goes to the beach, and then I keep saying it and saying it and saying it, and it just becomes part of my speech. It becomes fossilized. It becomes part of my speech and my language. So this is a big concern when people talk about focusing more on their fluency. And if you talk about focusing more on your accuracy and being afraid of making mistakes, that leads to breakdown in communication, stopping every time and paraphrasing every time. So what is a good balance? What should we focus on more when we get to that point? Fluency or accuracy? This is one of those questions. It's very close to how long is a piece of string, or what's the meaning of life? It's one of those questions regarding which we continue to talk and discuss, and we never seem to be able to arrive at a definitive solution. Why? Because your mileage may vary, which means that it could be different for different people. What you understand by communication, what is your idea of communication? Having said that, there are still some boundaries within which we can confine the discussion. And the most important point is to understand the two different kinds of mistakes. When I say to you, yesterday I goes to the beach. Now you understand what I said. It did not impede comprehension. As serious of a mistake as it was, you still understood that I'm talking about going to the beach in the past. If I say to you, yesterday I went to the Brigahalomua, you don't know where I went, okay? You know I'm going somewhere, but if that somewhere is like an important part of the story, that means that this mistake impeded comprehension here. And this is an important concept to understand. Mistakes that are serious mistakes, and how can we judge if a mistake is serious or not? If it is impeding communication in any way within the context of that conversation, that mistake is a serious mistake. And if it is not impeding communication, it is not a serious mistake within the context of that conversation where you just want to convey some information in an informal setting with a friend. All right? Now that you understand the difference between these two kinds of mistakes, ask yourself again, when you are having a conversation with a friend, how much should you be concerned about the mistakes you're making? Now, sometimes when we are within the flow of telling a story, or when you're telling a very funny joke, and you're really in the zone, at that time, even when you feel that you're making mistakes, don't be concerned too much by it, because at that time, fluency is more important, okay? And then there are some other times when you are having a conversation with somebody, with a friend, or even like not a friend. Let's just say you have to buy a ticket somewhere, and there, like, providing accurate information is really important. Otherwise, you might end up buying a ticket for a different date or something, right? So even when you learn a language informally, you still sometimes might find yourself in situations where you have to use that language for transactional purposes. So in scenarios where a breakdown in communication or a mistake can lead to serious consequences, you have to be concerned about your accuracy. So yeah, let's wrap it up once again. Fluency is the ability to speak without too many unnatural pauses. And accuracy is speaking without too many mistakes. And the balance about regarding which you should focus on more depends on the situation and depends on what you want to do in your communication. The most important thing that I would advise you about is that if somebody like forces me to be in a position to, hey, you have to choose one, that's it, end of story. Like, yeah, I agree with everything you said, Adil, that your mileage might vary, it's different, friend or transaction, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I understand everything. Pick one, still pick one. In that case, like if you're really throttling me and forcing me, I would say go with fluency. And when I say go with fluency, I'm not telling you not to worry about your mistakes. You should. I'm just telling you, don't obsess over the mistakes so much that you actually stop communicating. That's almost like counterintuitive, isn't it? Why are you even learning the language? And why are you even believing in something that is stopping you from communicating and actually taking risks? So yeah, your goal should be to communicate fluently and work on your mistakes whenever you can, and do not allow little mistakes to make you feel too embarrassed, or like don't be concerned about it too much, because people are very forgiving. Believe you me. Yeah, I've been learning languages, like you can say all my life, but like actively as an adult learning foreign languages. I've been doing that since 2017. I'm recording this video in May of 2026. So that is like, what, 9 years? Yeah, I just made my 9-year anniversary of language learning. Yeah, you can check that out. And I have communicated with people from all over the world, because as you know, I speak different languages, like Japanese, Chinese, French, German, Arabic, Baluchi, Urdu, Hindi, blah, 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 whatever, Russian, Italian. So I have communicated with people of different genders, of different ages, different backgrounds, all kinds of different people. And, everybody is very kind and they're very forgiving when you make mistakes, So don't allow yourself to be too conservative regarding risk-taking, say whatever you want to say. And if there is a breakdown in communication, more often than not, your friends help you. And this is where that concept of continuous learning comes in, regarding which I plan to make another video. I think I have spoken enough on this topic. Thank you very much. And I'm really interested in hearing your ideas. Please do write something in the comments because I love to engage with the viewers. I can guarantee you that I will reply to your comment if I see it and I see all the comments. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.